Back to Racing Across America. Very happy to be joined now by Dave Rodman from Laurel Park. And Dave, I've been waiting for this visit for the last 7 days since you were on last and had that selection that we saw going into the break of Start Puffing. And Dave, while we talk here, first I am just going to go, I'm going to do a little "we're not worthy" bowing to you off of that call, just to re-quote again a little bit. You were quoted as saying, "I'll give you one long shot to maybe throw in there," and that's number 8, Start Puffing. We're going to watch the stretch run of the 8th race at Laurel last Friday. Number 8, Start Puffing. We'll get it done. Just get up there and get it done at 86 to 1, and that 175 and change dollar win price was so big. Laurel sent out a press release. Nice call, Dave.
Yeah, well, I hope somebody capitalized on it. It seems to be our time of the year. About this time of year, we give out one of those long shots, right? Actually, the horse that beat was the favorite, and the horse that we liked in the race. But that's a horse that's weird. You know, a lot of times you really can't just handicap when you play a horse and somehow throws in just an aberration of a race that's too terrible to believe, which is what happened. I think I'd picked that horse rate 2 back and got dropped by like 18 lengths, was basically almost eased through the stretch. I said, this is a better horse than this. And something obviously happened there. Then ran on the slop, got beat double digits again, didn't like the slop. And in that kind of field, you know, where there was a weak favorite or a suspect favorite, sometimes you just got to go back to it. There's things with speed figures and you know, whatever handicapping method you use, the class can't really point out to you. You have to have a little faith sometimes. You know,
man, that was just great. 86 to 1. Obviously, the rank outsider on the board. $175 and change.
The horse got no play, no play. And I said, well, there goes that pick, and.
Because as we talked in the morning, I think it was, you know, obviously a long shot in the morning line, but we're talking 30 to 1, and then drifts up to 86 to 1. Yikes.
Yeah, well, you know, hopefully we'll get another one this week. Well, I don't know if we'll have one this week, but another one soon.
At what, $175, you only have to be right once every 85 times or so.
Yeah, it's awful discouraging the other 83 times when you.
I hear that. All right, let's get some ideas for this afternoon. And for folks who are playing Laurel today, what's the weather look like?
It looks like a nice day out right now. We've got cloudy to partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow it's going to be a little chillier and maybe a little chance of rain. But we're back on the turf because we were off yesterday. We had kind of a steady pour on Wednesday and ran a couple, then took the last couple off. So that was a disappointment, but back on the turf today. So hopefully the fields, they look like they're going to remain intact here.
All right, we'll take a look at the 4th, a conditional claiming event. Non-winners of 3 other than for claiming tags of 65 to 7,500. They'll go a mile and a 16th. Your thoughts on the 4th?
I love the Kieran McGee claim here. Bourbon Man, a horse that made that move, and there we go again. It's almost a similar pattern of the long shot we picked last week when this horse won last out. I beat 27 lengths in a 6-horse field at Timonium and ran 4th. This colt did not like racing at Timonium and had some previous good form. Comes back to Laurel, wins, but claimed for $5,000 and a non-winner at 2. Kieran McGee, who's been sharp off the claim, makes the confident move of bumping the horse up. Now, he's claimed some horses recently and dropped them down, and they've run like that. They just run like something he wanted to maybe get rid of, or perhaps not the colt, their filly they thought they were going to be when they claimed. But this horse has worked twice since. I think he's sitting on Go. It's Bourbon Man in the 4th race going a mile and a 16th. This is the kind of move that Kieran makes with plenty of success here in Maryland.
All right, let's move right along because we've got to fit in some Breeders' Cup selections too. So the 8th at Laurel, optional claimer, 25 tags, non-winners at 2 other than, again, a mile and a 16th in the 8th.
Yeah, this is an interesting race. Wild Louis is scratched out of there, but there are several horses on their best day who can win the race. A lot of attention is going to go to 14-time winner Tappan in the victory, but he's been off for 48 days, though having a good summer. He seems to be a horse that kind of needs to race back into shape. So I'm going to look elsewhere with number 7 going to market. He goes to John Robb's barn for the first time. From one good barn to another, Claudio Gonzalez to John Robb. Comes to that strong race won by Sarah, who was the next out winner again. His past numbers at Monmouth fast enough to beat this field, and he's in a reasonable spot this afternoon where he'll be close enough to the pace, maybe perhaps the Connemara Coast, to stalk and pounce on him. And he used Ghost Hunter as the hunch Halloween play of the day in there too. You've got to use Ghost Hunter, don't you?
Absolutely, on Halloween. Somehow those hunch bets on these kind of days always make it in the mix somehow.
I thought we had one in the first race, but then I realized, I was looking at it wrong. It's Karloff, but it's Karhoff. So, but in the first race, if you misread it like I did the first time out, luck into that one. But that filly actually I did pick on top in the opener today. But yeah, Ghost Hunter, the hunch play of Halloween, and hoping that tapping into victory will need a race. A real competitive 8th race.
All right, in the 9th today, another optional claimer, 32,000 tags. Non-winners are 3 other than the condition. Fillies and mares 3-year-olds and up. This time we're on the turf at 1 mile and a 16th.
I'm not going to let Karamanos and Larry Murray get away with another one here. CC Gold, let's step out a little bit here. This filly had a nice sprint prep against Madame Jerry. They were too fast for her to keep up early. Saved some ground down to the inside. No real kick because, the speedsters really got away from her. 3rd race back in the form cycle. She was 2nd in the Dahlia on good ground back in the spring to the really nice mare M-Bar. And, well, if the turf course on the video feed today says firm, don't believe it. It's just pop in circumstance. We had a little bit of cut in the ground the other day when it rained. I mean, I have a feeling you might see good. The course is really more to yielding ground this time of year here.
All right, and Dave, you got some thoughts on the Breeders' Cup. You named a couple of races a few races that we'll take a look at when we talk to you in the break. And I just want to remind people, you alluded to it already. Last week, the nice 86-1 long shot play handed out. But last year, this very week last year, you said, I got a sneaky little one on the undercard on opening day at the Breeders' Cup out at Santa Anita. A little horse named Air of Storm. I pulled up the chart to take a look at it because I'd forgotten the exact price. 37-1, nice $77 winner. So the pressure's on now. You got to come up with something big today. We'll see what happens, but we'll go in order. You've got some ideas. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. I have War Envoy over Commemorative in the Juvenile Turf, and as I've been talking during the week, a lot of folks are not really as high on the Europeans as I may be. Right underneath I have Imperia and Startup Nation, obviously American runners, but which direction did you go in the Juvenile Turf?
I'm going for a horse who has some Maryland connections. Maybe that's kind of swaying me a little bit. A colt named International Star won the Grade 3 Gray at Woodbine. He's got a good, relaxing style. He seems to be improving. Well, I mean, any of them have a right to improve at this age, obviously. But he had a little trouble at Saratoga in the With Anticipation, wide in the turns. But he's bred in Maryland. We've bred New York bred, but he's bred by Katie Boss and Robert Manfuso, who've just bred winner after winner here in the state, in Maryland, over the last couple of decades or more. And this is kind of our local hope, even though it's not a Maryland bred and it's not owned by a Maryland connection, but it's bred by Maryland connections. The International Star it will be my pick in the juvenile. I don't know. So you like the Europeans in there, right?
Yeah, but as I say, I'm kind of iffy now because all week long I've been hearing, this isn't that strong of a crop in the 2-year-old turf races. I mean, I'm going to stick there, but I put War Envoy and Commemorative, as I say, and then Imperia and Startup Nation. And I have to say, in both of the juvenile turf races, I kind of like the Chad Brown Klarovich runners, Startup Nation here and Partisan Politics in the other one, to maybe be contenders at decent prices. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, I was looking initially at Offering Plan in the same race, who I thought just had a really nice kind of prep. Not the screws weren't all the way down there at Saratoga in the Pilgrim. So yeah, I mean, it's just a wide open race here. There are 3 or 4 American horses that I looked at really closely, and then factor in the Euros.
All right, let's look out at the distaff because I want you to comment on this because I find we talked about your pick a little bit during the break, and I find it very interesting because I sat in here doing the Breeders' Cup seminar the other night right here at the Teletheater in Albany with Brian Nadeau. He's a handicapper here with us on the network, but also he does the Breeders' Cup notes during the year, follows all the big stakes races and whatnot. And he went, and amazingly, the same direction you went in the distaff. Talk a little bit about your selection.
I'm encouraged to hear that, actually, because I thought I was just kind of a lone wolf in there, you know, in this pick. But Stanwyck is a mare who likes Santa Anita. Obviously, a win, a second, and 2/3. You know, the East Coast may have not been her forte. You know, she's back in the West with John Sheriff, who, well, what can you say? He obviously is an outstanding trainer, and the horse likes Santa Anita. I think she'll get a good setup. I know she was beaten by closed hatches before, but maybe today, the day to turn the tables at a decent price here. I like the rider choice here in Corey Nakatani. I just think she's going to be a super value play in this race. I don't know how did he say there was too much speed in the race and it would be a closer? I don't know how he analyzed the race. I mean, I've heard various opinions on this race.
Yeah, he was kind of looking along that line and taking a little bit of a shot with the horse too. But I find it now interesting that two people during the week have tossed that horse out there. So now I got to have it in the mix somehow.
Well, I'm just maybe an underneath horse.
Yeah.
My buddy Action Andy is you know, I respect his opinion, as I've said in the show before, and he's singling closed hatches. I mean, he's been talking about this horse for a couple of weeks. Just says it wasn't really the game plan, and well, I can't blame him there.
Yeah, but, I put her on top, but again, I find it intriguing that a couple people have mentioned it. All right, let's go out to the Breeders' Cup Turf, because again, I took a shot with the European. I went with Flintshire coming out of the second place finish behind Trev in the Arc, but a number of people this week have liked your European pick, and as I've looked more and more at it, I agree. I find your selection in the turf very intriguing.
Well, I mean, I'm not there. I'm not watching him train. I don't follow European racing as much as probably a lot of your handicappers do. I'll be the first to admit that, you know, handicapping day in and day out here at Laurel. But my only friend with an Irish accent says that Telescope is a certainty.
Yeah.
Spot. I mean, he's got the tactical style to get the jump for that last quarter of a mile. I mean, visually, you obviously go back and look at the races, especially the Hardwick, and just a tremendous burst of energy and speed from him. So I'm coupling what I see on paper, what I've seen visually, with a couple of ideas from folks that I respect in the industry. That's what makes the Breeders' Cup so great. You know, so many opinions from all around the world, really.
Yeah, well, I've heard Telescope a few times this week, and as I say, I'm now a little more intrigued in that horse. And finally, getting an opinion on everybody from the Classic this week, Dave. We only got about a minute left, but when we talked during the break, you're on the same boat I'm on.
Yeah, I mean, I see nothing wrong with Toneless. People keep trying to knock him, and you know, the blinkers off just seems to have relaxed him, and it's going to be a solid pace. And he's the kind of horse that doesn't have to be as far back as he was last time out in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. By all indications, he's getting A+++ grades on looks in training out in California. You know, will he be suited to that surface, you know, versus a Belmont or an East Coast style track? Well, he won the East Coast at Gulfstream, and if you can lay close to the pace there, you know, and you can close there, to be honest with you, that's another feather in his cap. I think he's the now 3-year-old here in Tonalist. I'm going to stick with him because my other buddy, who loves closed hatches, hates him. So I'm going to go the anti there.
There you go. And as I said, I'm right on the same boat. I think Tonalist looks good coming into this race out of that Jockey Club Gold.
Okay.
Dave, we absolutely appreciate the visit, as we always do, particularly after last week. Pressure's on a little bit, but as I say, you only have to be right one out of every 85 times when you have those 86-to-1 shots come in. So again, congratulations on the great pick last week, and thanks.
Qualify my Breeders' Cup picks as someone who's an outside looking in. You know, I know a little bit more about the local horses, a little better than that. And also, I think I was 1 for 10 yesterday in the picks, so I'm way overdue to go at least 5 out of 10 today.
Hopefully today. That's what we like.
Okay.
All right, Dave, thanks.
Okay.